My name is Sebastian Alkema, and I am the head of marketing at Amaka. I will be moderating the session today, and I'll be asking all your burning questions for our three panelists. If everyone could please introduce yourself, tell us your name, and tell us who you are and what you do.
Oh, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Rama. I'm the CEO and founder of Amaka. What we do is we are a social publishing platform that allows creators to be able to create, share, and monetize their stories, specifically through subscriptions and brand partnerships. So if you're familiar with the likes of Substack, Medium, Patreon, it's a similar model, but for Pan-African audiences and creators. We've been around 3 years, accept partnerships. So, like, I can keep going in and out. I keep to be able to connect them to diverse.
Uh,
Okay.
Hi, hi everyone. My name is Chief Noble Igwe, and I do a lot of things. I tell people I'm an able boy that likes money. So I've done different things. I played in different fields. A lot of people think I'm one of the pioneers, Nigerian bloggers. One of the pioneers, content creators, one of the pioneers, influencers. So I've been in the game for a long time, and I'm not retiring anytime soon. So yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Onokwepo. I am a beauty and lifestyle content creator. So I enjoy doing a number of things. I'm also very passionate about feminism and mental wellness.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I want to set the stage and just ask you a few questions. I'll start with you, Adora, because you mentioned that the founder and CEO of Amata. Why did you start the journey, and what gap did you find was missing in the creator economy that made you want to start Amata?
Okay. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. So we started Amaka specifically as a media platform, so amplifying and platforming women and their stories. And we have expanded our platform to allow creators to be able to monetize their work and to really have a sense of autonomy and ownership over their stories. The first goal that we started off was obviously representation, but the monetization piece has always been an issue, especially when it comes to African-based creators. You typically need a USD bank account to use platforms like Substack. Sometimes the monetization offerings on your TikToks, for example, typically don't often include a lot of coverage across Africa. So we felt that there was a lot of opportunity there to be able to rectify those issues and those concerns, and to be more of a kind of a creator platform. And then we also focus on brand partnerships. We always worked with brands who wanted to connect with diverse audiences. And so we saw that there was a huge opportunity to have brand partnership opportunities, kind of connect them to those avenues for growth and leverage their tone of voice and their perspectives to be able to authentically reach brands and have those form of collaborations. So that was where we started off and how we wanted to be able to expand our mission and vision. And we're also looking at, for example, financial offerings and tools as well, for example, creator loans, especially when it comes to bridging the gap between getting paid for your work and executing the work, and also offering USD payments as well and currency payments. So that's something that we have been actively building and working on to be able to bridge that gap for Pan-African creators and for us to authentically participate in the global creator economy.
Thank you so much, Adora. Noble and then Nokta, I'm very curious, why did you start the journey in the creator and influencer industry, and how did you start it?
So I think I started creating content as far back as 2008. I'm still young, by the way, but in 2008, I designed MI's. MI is a Nigerian musician. I designed his album cover and I ARs that particular album. In 2009, I designed Banky W's album cover for the W Experience. And I have practically sort of worked with a lot of artists. Mohis, The Bunch, Sus Kid, LD, Tiwa Savage, a whole lot of people. But what had happened at that point in time was we didn't have Instagram at the early days. So influencing was more or less what you could do as a person than what you could do online with either money or whatever promises or anything. So we had Facebook, and a whole lot of influencing back in the day had to do a lot of fashion and club promotion. So basically, there were a lot of clubs and restaurants back in the day that needed people to come, but needed people who have some sort of influence that were able to bring people into their spaces. And it was interesting at the beginning, and then we went on ahead to be able to charge for those services. So back in the day, it was a lot free. People would say, "Oh, come, I'll give you food, I'll give you a stay in the hotel, I'll give you any of those things to us," until we could charge for those sort of services. And then Instagram came, then video making with the iPhones and whatnot came along. And instead of just writing text, we were able to sort of create content and make those content sort of, some of those content went viral. And so I live here in Lagos. I've been able to do a lot of work with different brands, Zara, PayPal, St. John, MCM from South Africa. I have been to every major city in South Africa, and the cost of South African tourism has been paid for. I've gone for the Red Bull Air Show. I've gone for different. I have been around and I've done different things from my house here in Lagos. And yeah, then from then until now, I've been able to do different things. In 2012, I launched a delivery service called 360 Delivery. In 2008, I launched a blog called 360looks.com. A lot of people may not know it here. In 2014, I launched a clothing line called Tries by Looks. In 2000, few years ago, I started making the baddest videos in Nigeria called Shot by Noobs. Sometime last year, I launched a store at the Good Bit called Culture. So I've been around for a minute, and content creation for me started from the time when influencing from restaurants and fashion houses, and I also have been voted as one of the best dressed Nigerian men by Vogue. So yeah, that was a lot, right?
It's very insightful.
So I have always been a very creative person right from when I was younger. I love drawing, painting, and all of that. When I started to do makeup around age 14 to 15, I used to watch a lot of YouTube tutorials. I was so obsessed with YouTube. I still am. So I just found out that people just shared so much knowledge and they could get as creative as they wanted. So I started to do makeup on people and myself and post on Instagram. I was a makeup artist while I was in uni. I did not really enjoy that because sometimes people don't allow you to have that creative freedom that you want. So I started doing makeup on myself mostly and posting on my Instagram. I used to write and post on my Instagram to hair tutorials. So anything I just felt like any of my creative abilities, I started posting them on my page and my account grew. I started working with brands in 2021. This was while I was still in uni, by the way. So I just made sure I knew how to combine everything together. I have worked with so many Nigerian and international brands. I have worked with Chipa, I have worked with Nivea, I have worked with Dito, I have worked with Sephora, Revlon, and a lot of beauty brands. I did not think it was going to be something this serious because when I started, being an influencer wasn't really a thing. And people used to see people that were on their phone all the time as unserious people or people that did not have a real job. So I'm so glad that we are where we are now in the influencer space.
Thank you. I love it. You had mentioned that you've worked with a lot of global brands.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what challenges and opportunities have you encountered as an influencer in that space?
So I would say working with global brands is a bit different from working with local brands here in Nigeria because of the number one, time difference. Communication is not as easy as it's meant to be. Then some brands don't just want to work with Nigerians. I think because of the time and money it takes to ship stuff down here, and sometimes you have to pay for shipping yourself. It's just a bit tricky, and also because of colorism. I work mostly with beauty brands, and sometimes when they see that you have dark skin and like curly hair, they're just like, no. Another thing I would say is being an influencer in Nigeria, we don't really have neutral spaces. You can't just go somewhere neutral like a mall or a public space to create content because someone will just come and harass you for money or something like that. And I don't think the government really supports content creators and influencers in Nigeria. We don't have any governing body. We don't really have any support system. And instead, they want us to pay tax. Plus, we don't have stable electricity, which is such a huge problem. And we don't constantly have fast, seamless internet. That's all.
Thank you. Noble, I saw you shaking your head in agreement. I don't know if you want to add anything
I mean,
or share your perspective.
I mean, being a content creator that is based in Nigeria and doing work in Nigeria, I mean, the goods and bad part of it. Like, as a Nigerian content creators, you're always used to the agencies treating you. So the agencies go like, so a brand go through the agency and say, listen, we have a budget of $2,000 for this project. The agency goes like, I know him now. Oh, we'll just give him $400 and he will do it. And so sometimes when these brands come to you and they mention the amount of money they are willing to pay per post, the first thing that happens to you is you get surprised because maybe that's not what you're used to when you're dealing with the Nigerian or whatever agencies. Then also when you travel abroad at the early stage, so before there was anything called micro influencers, we basically had influencers or non-influencers. So there was no room for anyone who you could say is a micro influencer. So but back in the day, as Nigerians with the huge numbers, if you travel abroad, you find someone who have like 4,000 followers, and when they come into your room, everybody stands still. And you come in with maybe 150,000 followers, and you don't even know how to fit in. Because where you're coming from, we've got the number, but people don't sort of respect what you do as much as they respect other people who are from other parts of the world. But one of the biggest challenges that we have is also how to move your money back here. Because if they're paying in USD, if you don't have a PayPal account or something that's always like, oh, send a sort code, send this, send that, that kind of thing. People also have such issues. But there's also the good part. The good part is once you've gone international, it's always easier for you to come back home and add to your rate card. So that way you can say, listen, I've done work for these people, I've done work for this brand. This is how much that they paid me. This is how much I want to charge of like for each whatever going forward. But at the same time, I mean, I feel bad for people who are influencing that because I sort of feel like everybody with the tripod and the camera is a content creator. So right now, every single person, the market has loads of people, and sort of the brand have to sort of go through this number of persons to find people who have actual influence. I've always said that there are influencers and there are people with high number of persons following them.
Yeah.
The people who cannot influence you buying a bottle of Coca-Cola, yet they have huge number of people leaving comments on their pages. There are people who have actual influence in a particular field, and sometimes they don't get recognized by the international community or Pan-African community. And that's also one of the challenges that we have, to be able to look through that pool and decide who is what their sort.
That's a very good point. And my question is to you, Adora, because you've had a lot of experience working with creators, connecting them to brands, etc. How can a creator formalize themselves in the industry?
Yeah. So I think it's really important, and I really liked your point about there's a huge social media allows like an increased barrier, less barrier to entry to enter in this space. So everyone can essentially be a content creator. But I think it's important for us to look at formalization of what that means, and you should really view yourself as a media entity. We as a media entity and we worked with various different brands. A lot of brands typically work with media to it and to be able to reach their audiences. And I think content creators obviously have been replaced for that in a way. It's obviously, I think, more affordable than it is. And also, I think it's really important for content creators to be able to have a strong content strategy, looking at planning and consistency like a media company, seeing yourself as a business, seeing the fact that your content is your intellectual property. Yes, it's in an open field, but essentially it is your work, and as a media platform, like Pramaka, if someone, were to repurpose this, steal our work, we would be able to pursue that legally. So content creators should be able to have that avenue as well. And then finally, your data. I think understanding your data is so key, especially when you're talking to brands. And again, a lot of media platforms look at their data, their audience return rate, their audience psychographics and behavior and perspectives. And I think content creators should be just as savvy as well, so that brands have a very strong kind of case what that they bring to as brands and formalizing that. And finally, as well, like we also speak to a lot of financial institutions who are really interested in that space, but are very fearful of giving loans to creators or having an understanding of that space. So I think when you formalize yourself as an entity, as a business, you can even have greater access to other funding and financial opportunities as well. So I think it's really important to see yourself as that. But also identify your goals. I know some people that it's like you're taking the fun out of content creation. If I'm thinking like a business, right? But you need to decide, like, if you're a content creator, do you want to do content just for content for fun? And that's also great as well. Or do you also want to be a media platform and make a full time and have like a recurring income? Then you need to kind of quickly. So I think you need to really have a closer understanding and look at like exactly where do I want to be as a content creator, and then move accordingly in that space. Yeah.
Thanks, Adora. This actually leads to my next question. I think you mentioned something very important around creators being authentic and owning their brands.
Yeah.
But how can creators maintain a sense of creative freedom while also following briefs that come from brands and making sure that they follow the brand guidelines, but also staying true to themselves? This is a question for everyone.
I think when I can maybe talk from the brand perspective. I think when we talk to a lot of brand creators, I think it's really important to be able to have ownership and autonomy over the work that you're doing. Content creators, again, they're tone of respond to better. Brands should offer maybe guardrails, but not so much like hardcore guidelines that typically work. And brands are always thinking in a very kind of one-dimensional commercial mindset, whereas creators typically adopt a first-person narrative, very strong relationship with their audiences. They think about their consumers, or no, sorry, not their consumers, their audiences as like their friend, as someone that they're communicating with and talking to. And I think it's important to be able to have that. And then finally, for the authenticity side of things, I think for creators, we always say, like, as a creator, understand what are your core values, what is a brand's core values, and then what are your audience values. And if you can put it side by side, and if they don't match up, then you shouldn't be working with that brand at all, because audiences are very savvy. They know when you're just kind of, for lack of a better word, BSing, and know when you're just taking money with a brand partnership that doesn't align or make sense. So I think that's something that we see from like a brand perspective, that we always advise to brands, and to make sure to have a strong understanding of their core values as well. But I'm sure you guys probably have a strong understanding of that from your perspective as well.
I mean, I've got a few things to say. So, an Igbo boy, I speak with an Igbo accent. That's my originality. I'm not going to try to speak in any foreign accent or anything. If you meet me, you've met the whole lot of me. And if you go on my page, the thing that I stand for, I've got two daughters, Jasmine and Eliana. So I stand for friendship, family, good time, fashion. Every single thing that I live for is on my page and is in an authentic way. So when you engage me, you will see the things that I stand for. So no matter how much you offer me to promote betting, I wouldn't do that because that's not my style. I will only do the things that are original for me, to me. And also, I think a lot of content creators really try so much to do the things that other people are doing when you can stand out and be original. I may be the only brand ambassador to a drink that I've been a brand ambassador for 6 years now, and a brand ambassador for Tiger Beer. And when I was signed, I told them that I don't want to influence Tiger Beer in Lagos, that I want to go to Eastern Nigeria to sell Tiger Beer. And we have had Enugu, Aba, which is where I grew up, and every part in Southeast as the biggest market for tiger beer. So every year they don't speak to me. They just add a little money to my contract, send it back to me to sign, and I keep making money from doing that. Just because I have decided to be original. So when I influence for tiger beer, I don't speak too much English. The Igbo person just want to drink a bottle of beer or a can of beer and put the can under their table. That's what people want to say. So I think it's important to be original. I think it's important for you to be consistent. I think it's important for you to have values as regards to what you want to influence for, who you want to influence for, and how you want to be seen by the public. And I think that people should not be shy to ask for things. They can either say yes or no. In 2008, I can't remember, I wrote to Eric Airline. I said I wanted to go to New York. I needed for them to give me 2 business class tickets, the one that I'll use for the trip and the one that I can use anytime that I wanted to use it. And they gave that to me. And I went to New York and I started a hashtag called Noble Text New York. And I've taken a lot of different countries afterwards, but I didn't know anybody in Eric. I didn't know anybody in any of those things. I wrote to them because I believed that I had the value to add. And I think content creators should not be shy to get a no. But when you get a no, go home, work harder so that the next time they come to you, you charge them double and add VAT. Yes.
I agree with what the both of them said. I think that when a brand should give you a strict set of guidelines, you should be able to communicate with the brand and tell them, oh, this is why I think things should be done this way. And if they don't agree, it's actually okay for you to move on from that brand to another brand. I have had an experience with a skincare brand that sells lighting products, and personally, I just try to take things lightly. I went through their social media and they featured only light skinned people on their page, and obviously I'm dark skinned, and they wanted me to work for them for like 3 months. I wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to promote such a product freely and authentically. So I just feel like sometimes content creators and influencers should actually learn to say no when they are uncomfortable. And if you think it's something that can be negotiable, you should actually communicate with the brand and tell them, I think we should do this way, because sometimes the brand might not see things the way you see things. They don't know your audience, they don't know what your community likes, and they don't know the tone your community prefers. So they might not really understand why it wants to do things their way.
Yeah, thank you. For creators that have smaller following, so a lot of brands, when they're looking for creators to work with, you need to have 100,000 followers, 10,000 followers. If they also want to start working with brands, what is the advice that you would give them? How do they attract brands with smaller followings?
I kind of think that the first thing they have to do is to build a community. If you build a community, you can sell anything to your community. So, and it's always important for you to know that if you're sure that your community will come through for you, that's something you can take to any brand, right? So if you have 5,000 followers and these 5,000 followers engage your content, they listen to you, they sort of listen or they do what you ask them to do, they can go to a bank and say, listen, give me this deal and I can get 3,000 people to open an account with your bank. There are a lot of people who have over 1 million followers that cannot do such a thing. So I don't think it's about the numbers, it's about the community. You need to be able to look at your followers. You need to respond to messages, also to comments. You need to go to their pages to engage them on their own pages. And if someone says to you, it's my birthday today, it will take nothing from you to post them on your stories. Listen, it's the little things that helps you to build a community. So it does not matter the number of followers that you have. You should prove to the brand that you can influence the people who already follow you, and that's good enough.
I definitely want to add on that as well, because I think you made a pretty great point about community. And I think one of the main things that we've seen, and especially in our research, we've seen studies that a lot of influencer marketers, about 63% of them, and that were surveyed by an Aspire kind of research, that really said that influencer user-generated content performs better than brand-directed content. So they are prioritizing more of that in person, kind of that direct relationship. So you're able to kind of have if you have a kind of smaller following and have with your audiences, and have a stronger engagement, I think that's where you'll be able to see a lot of the conversion. And another thing that I also do say is that, especially when you're starting off as a small content creator, you don't always have to rely so heavily on social media. I know that's kind of like ironic. I personally believe in the power of having owning your own data off the platforms and having your own data in terms of email. I think, and we were saying this in another panel, I think having a 30,000 email database is more powerful than a million followers on Instagram, because you're able to convert them in a long-term way. They signed up to you. They want to be able to see you off platform, and removing all of that distraction as well. And then you're able to kind of monetize it through, whether it's through subscriptions, whether you're a creator that wants to diversify and go into makeup or skincare as well. You have a whole database where you can convert that. And then when you speak to brands, you're able to, again, leverage your own database and have that deeper engagement and deeper connection and niche audience that is able to convert. So I think it's very important to look at that. And then also, I think with the rise of, with TikTok as well, a lot of TikTok content that goes viral isn't really from big influencers. It's a lot of them are from maybe more micro influencers, user-generated content and stories that have a strong resonance with their audience and are highly relatable. And so if you have a mix of working with bigger influencers as well as micro influencers, and then being consistent and having a smaller community that see conversion, that's where a lot of the strength comes from as well right now.
I would say not every popular person or celebrity is an influencer, and a lot of brands make that mistake. Brand amplifiers are different from influencers. So, as a small influencer or content creator, if you want to work with a brand, I would say that you should create content that has value, content that you can use to pitch yourself to the brand, and you can show them, oh, I made this video using your product. I would like to work with you. You can also create user-generated content for a brand. That is content that you are not obligated to post on your page. You can just create the content on behalf of the brand and you get your money back. You can also sell digital products, and there's one more point I have in my head. You can also sell digital products, and also sometimes the amount of followers you have does not really determine your engagement or the strength of your community, like they said. So you have to keep that at the back of your head when you want to create content.
Thank you. Outside of likes and comments, because these are the things that a lot of brands look at. If they're giving you a scope of work, they want to see how many likes you have or how many comments you get. What are the ways that creators can measure success of the work that they do?
So every influencer content creator will know their strongest link or strongest avenue, or if someone pays you for something to post on Instagram and you think that is best suited for Twitter or X as they call it now, even though they're not paying you for that, I kind of feel like it makes more sense if you can take it to the platform to get them the required reach that they demand or demanded, right? And it's also important for, if you work with brands, to do actual things that convert actual people. So let me give an example what I mean. As a brand ambassador for Tiger Beer, at some point I told the brand that I don't want to be the guy who holds a can of drink and take pictures. Like I don't want to be that guy. So I started something in my store called Beer and Pizza on Tuesdays. So basically having people come into the store, I provide them with free beer, and I provide them with pizza, and they get to shop, and I get to make a video. So at that point in time, after I had 2 of those events, the brand stopped asking me how many posts I was posting on Instagram, because I was actually converting real people drinking the beer and doing the actual thing. So sometimes you have to think outside of what you're being paid for and see how you can prove to the brand that there's a better way to actually get them the people that they want. Since I started making videos, there are some companies that come to me and they ask, how much do you charge to make these videos? And I tell them, they're like, oh, that's too expensive. I'm like, let's strike a deal. I'll come shoot for free. and I'll show you the videos. If you like, you pay me double the amount I would have charged in the first place. And most times they'll say yes. And I'll go and make sure I do a good job. And I'll come back to them and I show them the videos. I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? How about we pay you your full amount, then maybe like 50% of the extra money you're going to charge? You just need to know how to do your things. You just need to know how best to push your content. And you need to train people. Like, and I'm going to give practical examples. Like, so in this room, maybe this is not like a big room, but Ayo Lawal, he works for me or with me, and he's going ahead to do big things. Ozina Nomodozina had worked with me. Mimi Nolaja had worked with me. Derry from Mesaleko had worked with me. There are a lot of people in the fashion and influencing industry that had done a few things with me. And one of my biggest privilege was given to me by that lady behind. That's Uche of Bella Niger. She gave me my first writing gig off Facebook. And when I wanted to launch my blog in 2008, I wrote to her and I asked her if it was okay for me to go ahead and do my own thing. And when I started making videos, she was one of the people who called me and she paid me for videos and she didn't post it on social media. So you need to build your brand, you need to build your community, but you need to be very good at what you do because that's what sets you apart. I've been in this game for a long time and I've seen people come and go. And like I said, I am not retiring anytime soon. Well,
I think when we speak to brands, I think the main thing is conversion. So I really love the example when you're essentially going out of the box to really convey your value in terms of conversion. Because the first thing, whenever there's a recession or whenever there's an economic downturn, especially for advertisers, the first thing they cut is marketing. And so you need to be able to look at yourself as an entity. I would say, like, how can I help them achieve conversions and sales beyond awareness and beyond impressions as well, and having that very, very strong case study that is able to identify that and convey that. So I think that's been like one of the main things that we have seen, and a lot of brands want the return on investment. So I know when a lot of brands speak to creators and they give them a number and they're like, this is like a crazy amount for them. But some are like, okay, we'll be able to give you that, but you need to be able to guarantee X number of impressions or X number of sales for us to give you that. And I think that's a model that a lot of brands are looking to in order to have a very strong ROI as a business and a brand. And I think creators also from the advertiser perspective as well, to in order to not only have a successful relationship but a long-term relationship, you need to be able to lock in yourself with brand partners. But the only way you'll be able to do that is if you value beyond discussion. Really, really about those conversion metrics that they're starting to care about as well. So I think that's one of the main things for us. Yeah.
Okay, so one way you can measure your value or conversion to sales as an influencer, apart from engagement on social media, is feedback from your community. So a lot of times, I don't know why people don't comment on your content, but they slide in your DMs to tell you, oh, I got this thing because you recommended it and it was really good. And even in real life, people ask me, oh, what do you use for this? What do you use for that? And they go ahead to purchase the product. That is not going to reflect in my engagement on social media, but it is a return for the brand.
Thank you. Just one last question before I open it up to the audience. How can creators leverage emerging technologies like AI and the metaverse, etc., to connect with global audiences and brands?
Definitely. I think that, or you can actually use AI like ChatGPT to come up with creative ideas for your content. You can create a content timetable for yourself. You can come up with different content ideas, and they are going to be globally accepted. That's one thing I'm sure.
So I'm going to go up and say, please go to school. And when you go to school, pay attention in school. And if you can, write your captions yourselves. I'm not trying to say don't engage AIs or whatnot. I'm going to give you an example. So someone went to the airport yesterday. He's on a wheelchair. and he got bounced at KFC.
Yeah.
And then he came back on Twitter to talk about it. And there was an uproar. Then today, KFC, they got shut down. But that's not the story here. KFC sort of put out an apology. And someone has proven that entire thing was written with ChatGPT. So, exactly. So the thing is, yes. So try as much as possible. I'm not trying to say don't engage AIs or metaverse or everything. Like I can only go and say to you, if you have numbers on social media and if you can move those numbers to a platform that you can own, be it nobuligwe.com, be it your newsletters or anything that you do, that is actually more important than taking advantage of something that you don't know how long they're going to be here. I mean, there are a lot of Google products that have been launched in the past that are not even here anymore, that kind of thing. But the thing is, as much as possible, get involved in the things that you can do. I'm not on TikTok. I have 2 children. I take them to school. I take them swimming. Instagram is good and not for me, that kind of thing. So do what you can do and make sure that whatever it is that you decide to do, that you're good at it. Don't try to do every single thing. Don't TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, every single thing at the same time. Find what is your strongest and keep to it. And to what you said, when brands need to be, I made my biggest money in recent time during COVID. I bought a brand new car in COVID. And it was because at that point in time, brands needed to talk to people that they think have real influence and they have a lot of budget to throw around. So they give to people who they think could convert.
Yeah.
So use AI, but go to school so you can write proper English. Because
Yes, I think I want to definitely echo both points. I think when you look at AI, right, you can use that as a form of obviously productivity or really improve the, reducing the time to publishing or execution. But I think it's just to the point of authenticity and your tone of voice. Like brands want to work with people that aren't a generic machine. They want to be able to hear, essentially they're talking to you because you were able to build an audience because of your point of view, because of the way you speak, of your mannerisms. So if you're leveraging AI, I think it should be maybe used as a way of a productivity kind of development tool. But I think the tone of voice factor, I mean, the content creation is essentially you are the one that is able to speak in a first person narrative. You're the one that's able to have a very in-depth relation with your audiences. So I think it's kind of utilizing it very lightly in a way that makes sense for you. And then I really loved your point as well about there's so many different platforms. We always talk about deep engagement is better than horizontal reach. And what that means is, like I said, having a deeper engagement with your community and maybe in a specific channel, a specific niche, a specific messaging, as opposed to being a wide-reaching creator, I guess jack of all trades, and just trying to speak to anyone and everybody that will listen, because it won't work. Leveraging like a social platform that works for you, that it really encapsulates your tone of voice, encapsulates the way that you are able to effectively communicate with your audience is the way to go. So I think it's really identifying the social platforms that work for you and that can amplify your voice, not change your voice. I think it's mainly about amplification. That's the main important thing.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We'll open it to the audience. So if anyone has any question for any of our panelists.
Yeah, my question is about monetizing your content, monetizing your creativity. And I'm curious about the workflow. So are you proactively reaching out to brands? Are you waiting for them to come to you? And then I'm curious about what are the top common mistakes when you're trying to negotiate with a brand? Because obviously you want to, get the budget. In my experience working in Nigeria, sometimes a lot of brands aren't transparent in those discovery call questions. So I'm just curious, what is your workflow? Are you proactively pitching, or are you waiting for people to reach out? And then when it gets to that, when they do ask you for your rate, what are some tips that you can provide content creators?
I think I can answer that definitely from the outreach perspective. So the different ways that we see, opportunities for creators is like a couple ways. So one, I think directories, if you're able to, connect with different platforms or directories that have a specific focus on connecting creators to brands, like we have a directory where we're able to work with creators and essentially they're vetted creators and commission them with brand partners. And so that's something that we're doing. I think the second thing is having an outbound and inbound strategy. A lot of people don't can't sleep on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such a powerful tool, I think, for creators. And I think the outbound side of things, reach to brands that have they have influencer marketing departments now, and reaching out to them. And the goal isn't to really okay, get me like a partnership now. It's essentially building a relationship but also making sure they're within your network first. And then when they're within your network, that's when you kind of go to the inbound strategy, which is more like marketing. So you can use LinkedIn to say, I have been commissioned by X brand and I was able to reach X number of conversions and impressions. This is how I did it. If you're interested, look at my video or comment here below. And that's essentially marketing yourself. Like that's the whole formalization. Forget about the fact that we are an entity. You can market yourself and your expertise and your skills. And a lot of these institutions are actively looking for them. And so leveraging LinkedIn to be able to access them from an outbound perspective, but also from an inbound perspective on the work that you really help. I think having the creator a media kit as well. And what that entails is your rates, your demographics, who you're reaching, etc. Having a deck that really highlights that, because that formalizes who you are as a creator, as an entity. And I think that's one of the main ways that we've seen a lot of brands is when they have that kind of sales deck or media kit perspective as well. And I think negotiations, I feel like you guys might be better at talking about the negotiation side of things, maybe.
I think so. Personally, I think the different ways about what you just spoken about. That's the reason why sometimes when you see a TV show and they say the pilot, I'm a huge believer in showing people what I can do without charging them money, because I trust what I can bring to the table. And if I show you, I need to roll you in and get you interested in the things that I can do to now charge you. But also in terms of brand, there are two ways to go about it, right? If you do good work, brands will come and look for you. And I use myself as an example. When I started creating videos, I used to shoot videos with my phone, and it's still my best way to shoot, right? But what had happened was competition sort of came into the game. So people who shoot musical videos got into my business because that's how I create that kind of thing. So, and I went out there and I bought big cameras as well. And I started shooting at that point in time. So if you come to me, I can give you two different rates. If I shoot on my camera, this is how much it's going to be for you. If I shoot on my phone, this is how much you would pay me. But also, I made sure that I was able to shoot the things that people look forward to seeing. So let me give you an example of one of the events that I've shot that have made a difference for me. So every year, Sunny Elimelo throws the biggest party in Nigeria. And to anyone who want to shoot something, that's a huge content for you to shoot. Last year, I shot 4 videos for him. And out of that 4 videos that I shot for him, out of those 4 videos, I've had the companies, Globalcom, different ones, reach out to me to say, we want to sign a retainership with you. And it was because I knew that my work was going to be good enough. But also in terms of asking for money, the first person that actually paid me for my video was Mo Abudu. And she had invited me for a movie premiere called The Sister or something. And I said, Auntie Mo, I do videos now and I charge for them. And she was like, how much? I said, just 300,000. She then said, okay, you know what? Let's do this. I'll pay you 150. If I like the videos, then we'll post it. Then I shot for her. She paid me 300 and gave me 150 extra for doing a good job. So I wasn't afraid to ask for money. So you shouldn't be afraid to ask for money. And some people would offer money, but if you know that you're good, ask for money because some other dude is coming somewhere, maybe some Ikenna or Charles, who is going to come up to do what you're doing right now, even better. And you don't want to look back and feel like maybe you should have asked for money when you had the opportunity to ask. Don't ask for big money, but when you're good enough, ask for big money.
And I just want to add to that. I think a step further, if you can also decide on metrics. So if a brand is like, this is the budget that I have, and you know that you're worth more than that. And if the goal is to build a long-term relationship, maybe you can be like, okay, let me work with you at a lower rate. But again, if I reach X number of metrics or impressions, let's agree that you will be paying me that rate. And I think it's important to get that right because a bit slippery. So I think it's really important to be able to maybe as an entry say like this is what I typically charge, build a relationship, also say like if I reach those metrics, this is what I would like to get paid, and go forward in that direction as well.
So I reach out to brands. I don't really reach out to brands on my own because I am under management. And she mentioned influencer directories. I'm actually signed up to a few of them. So whenever there are any job opportunities that are suitable for me, I usually get an email or my manager sends me a message. But when working with brands, if a brand should send you an email or a message, just make sure you're polite, and you should actually have a rate card with your rates and services you offer, whether you want to create user-generated content for them or you have other, just from like the biggest to the smallest. You should also have a media kit with links to your best work, what they are the most proud of. And when a brand reaches out to you, send that to them. And you should also ask if they have a budget. Budget is low. You can actually tell them, okay, can I offer it this service instead? Or you can convince them to pay you more for just one video. And if they like it, they can continue to work with you. I think that's all.
Thank you. I've just been told that we're out of time, so unfortunately we won't take any more questions, but our panelists will be around, so if you have any specific questions, you can just go straight to them and ask the question. But thank you so much, everyone. Any parting words? One sentence, everyone.
Sure.
Just listen, just make money. Listen, it's true. Like, listen, if you live here and you work from here, make money, everything is expensive, diesel, petrol, everything. The most important thing is like when you wake up every day, you have only one vision and mission: make money.
That's 2 sentences. Thank you.
I think you should be comfortable starting with what you have. Don't be ashamed of your content. Don't cringe at yourself. It's normal. Just do what you want to do and post that. Like, leave the app. Like,
I'll probably say your content is your intellectual property. Please remember that. I think people tend to forget that. That is your lifeline, your essentially your blood. So make sure that you see that as a legitimate form of intellectual property, and for as a form of growth for yourself as an entity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Amazing. Thank you so much to all our panelists. I think I've taken many things away, and definitely make money resonated with me. So thank you for that. But can we please give another round of applause to our panelists?